So hi everyone, it's the Beauty Shaman. This is Suzanne, the Beauty Shaman, coming to you today to talk about a subject that is very near and dear to my heart. Meditation. I love meditation. I've been meditating for about 10 years now, every day for about 20 to 30 minutes, and it has altered my life. And so today I have invited a friend of mine who is a meditation teacher here in Denver, and I love and respect her very much. And her name is Grace, and I'm going to have you say your last name because I can't pronounce it.
That's Esther. I know it's a
I'm just not even going to try it. I have it written down. I thought, no, I'm not even going to go there. So Grace runs it's called the Breathing Room is her, what would you call that?
It's a space for women to create space in their life, essentially. Yeah. It's a 4-month experience, and it's for women who feel like I run at my max capacity every single day. I make lists from the moment I wake up to the moment my head hits the pillow. I'm basically on and on, like on. And so it's an experience for women to learn how to de-stressify their day, their life, and their mind, essentially, and their emotions.
It's all online, so anybody can join you with that.
True. Anyone, anywhere, almost anywhere in the world, unless you're in Australia, because that means, your calls would be really late, that kind of thing. Yeah. But really, anywhere in the world.
I think this is amazing, and I love this because I think intrinsically we know we need to sit down and be quiet and be calm, but to actually have instruction around that and to give women permission to do that and how important and teach about that, I so love this. I think this is so powerful. So let's talk about the women watching, women over 40 who are stressed out. And you know this woman, right? She's one of your audience members continually in your classes. And just let's talk about what she's like, what she's going through, and what kind of you've learned. And maybe just we can then go into maybe some giving out a few skills and things. I mean, we're only going to talk for about 30 minutes, so we're not going to do a whole kit and caboodle, but I do think it's good for people to know, man, we know who you are. So what would you say about this woman?
Yeah. This is a woman who, I mean, if you're watching, it's likely you're trying to be amazing in your career. You want to be an exceptional mom. If you happen to be a mom, like, of course, you want to be present in your life. You want to live with purpose. You want to be cool, calm, and collected. You want to be that great friend that people can lean into when things get difficult. You want to be amazing in your relationship. You want to be a 10 plus in every area of your life. And you're likely trying really hard to make that happen, and in the trying, there's nonstop information coming your way and nonstop advice, do this to lose weight, do this to eat healthy enough, do this to make sure it's organic, do this with your kids. It's endless. And the amount of pressure that you put on yourselves to try to really be a 10 plus in 18 areas all at the same time is likely killing you. Yeah. And like, I don't mean that lightly. I really mean the level of anxiety and headaches that turn into migraines. There's concerns, there's some physical and health stuff showing up, and you just don't even have time for it because who does? Right. So you just kind of keep pushing through day in, day out, and running faster than you can even slow down enough to go, what's going on? What month am I in? What week am I in? And it's likely that you feel like, when am I going to have time for me?
Yeah.
I'm trying to be exceptional for everyone and in my career and this and that and the other. And when is there time for me? So if there's either that going on or a sense of, I should be able to handle this better. It looks like everybody's got it together and I'm working so hard and trying to stay up, on top of my game all the time above water, but how come I can't do this better? This is the woman that I help.
Right. Well, us overachievers, yeah. You've just totally defined the overachiever, which I fit so neatly into that box of, get up and run from the get-go. And I think what's great about meditation is that it offers that silent moment, but it's almost like we have to teach ourselves, A, it's okay, and then B, train the people around us. Like I have 2 teenage daughters, so and I'm a single parent, so I mean, they know when I'm meditating, don't come in unless there's blood involved. Sometimes I come in anyway, but I really try to create that space. But it's like, but it's a whole reprogramming, I think, too, of not only seeing the importance of it, but training the people around us and training our own,
True.
schedule. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think the challenge with this is, there's endless pressure to be in do mode, in go mode. And I think one of the biggest challenges with meditation is feeling like you don't have time, mostly because there's a perception of like, I don't have time to sit down and do nothing,
Right,
right?
right.
So the thing about it is it's you're not doing something, you're actually creating space and clearing yourself out so that when you are doing, you have better capacity, you're more attentive, you're more present. And so meditation actually saves you time, because it's unlikely that if you don't meditate often, it's likely that you're going through a lot of things that you're doing in the day and you're not present enough, and you have to come back and kind of either finish them again or redo them because they weren't quite at the level that you wanted them. There's a lot of frustration and do-over in life, whether it's, your work or with your kids or however, and meditation allows you to actually save a lot of that energy. So I think there is real life pressure to be active, go, 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 go mode. And so slowing that down or carving time to say, no, my doing right now looks like this, and it looks quieter, and it looks like physically even looks different. Maybe because there's also meditation that's active and physical. So there's not just sitting in silence meditation, but it's true that it's a journey. It's a moment where you journey within instead of your activity being so outward, which
Mm,
all day long you are under pressure and under demand to be an outward activity, right? And responding to the world and then some. And especially if you have kids, you know that very well. You're
yeah,
constantly getting tugged, mom, mom, mom. And this is finally what I call it, like an oasis. And the oasis looks like whatever you need that day. Some people need to just sit down and be like, how am I feeling today? And it might be lonely or frustrated or angry or I'm not sure how I'm feeling. And so there's an opportunity to like evaluate and release. What if there is loneliness? What if there is just like, God, that happened yesterday and I feel utterly shocked about it? Like it's an opportunity to decompress emotionally, mentally, and oftentimes it can be physical as well.
right.
And it's true. You have to train people around you, but before you train people around you, you have to train yourself. This mindset that is doing nothing is the biggest misconception there is, because meditation is actually active. You have to sit there and choose to not engage with the world and engage only with yourself.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I agree with you. What other misconceptions do you see that people have about meditation? Because I see a lot of people when I talk about meditation. I mean, I don't talk about it a heap, but when
mhm.
we do talk about it, I can tell people kind of get like, oh, or maybe it's like, oh, another thing to add to their to-do list or something like that. I don't know. What other misconceptions do you see that kind of
Woo,
women have to break?
there's a bunch. So I think the other two top ones are, one is that it has to happen in a particular way and in a particular amount of time.
Yeah,
And feels like a prescription, like, okay, unless I can do this every day for da 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 da, then I can't do it. And so people throw it out, like you throw the baby out with the bathwater.
right.
So there's that one, which is completely untrue. And the other one is that it looks like the in media and social media and TV and movies, meditation is mostly shown in one particular way, and it's mostly people sitting in a lotus position all by themselves, or with some mala beads. And there's a certain look that meditation currently has, at least in the Western world, and it doesn't actually have to look that way, and it often doesn't.
Right.
Meditation can be an emotional release. Meditation can be in movement, like I said, which with your eyes open or closed. Meditation can be standing. Um, there is quiet and silent moments. Meditation can be chanting, prayerful, spiritual, mental. Mindfulness is more of a mental practice. There's an endless array of possibilities, and it's connected to what is your motivation to meditate. What do you actually want? Do you just want, not just, do you want the wellness benefit, less stress, calmer mind, better sleep? Do you want a spiritual connection and experience? Do you want to have like your church time that's yours? Do
Mm,
you want connection, more connection with your intuition? There's a huge array of possibilities depending on what you want. And depending on what you want and the practice, there are different practices that serve that purpose. So I think that's a big one. People think like, I hear this all the time. I sat down and I tried that and I couldn't even sit 3 minutes quiet, Grace. I can't do it.
yeah,
So then they throw the whole thing out. And I'm like, wait. Did you try walking? Did you try with music? Did you try guided? Did you try and they're like, what? No, I tried to sit down and quiet. Like that app taught me, and I can't do it.
yeah.
Okay. That's like imagine when you have a child, right? And the first 2 weeks when you have no idea what you're doing the first time you have a child, and then you just say, well, I this whole mother thing is like I can't do it.
Somebody take
That's
it
the
away.
same idea. So there's that, and I think the other one is this thing of, you know, I think that a lot of this is where I'm kind of like the anti-guru
Love
meditation
what I
teacher.
love about you. I have to say, it's one of my favorite aspects. So yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm a big fan of practicality and inserting, habit change requires like small chunks in a day
Right.
to day. It's impossible. I guess it's possible for some rare individuals, but for most of us human normal people, we need things in small doses until it becomes the normal habit for us. So a lot of people who teach meditation prescribe 20 minutes here and 20 minutes there in the morning and in the evening, or an hour every day, or turn it into your morning routine. And my advice is forget it.
Yeah.
Do however much you can do. So if all you have in your life, because you have 3 kids and a full-time career and a husband and a mother-in-law and you name it, is 4 minutes a day, that's your meditation practice. And actually it works.
It does work.
Because
I absolutely
meditation,
one of the go ahead.
yeah. No, meditation is one of those things that's like, it's about consistency more than it's about intensity,
Oh,
at least for most people, unless you really are looking for something extraordinary, at which point I would say, yeah, go to the retreats and all
right.
of that. But, it's like kind of like, do you want to hang out with the person that brushes their teeth for 1 hour on Sundays, or do you want to hang out with the person that brushes their teeth for 1 minute twice a day?
Yeah, yeah. That's,
You know?
that's a very good analogy, actually. I love that analogy. And we had talked about this earlier, and I love the anti-guru thing about you. And I think that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on the YouTube channel, because I'm sort of an anti-follower. I don't want to follow people. I believe I have everything I need inside of myself. And I want to be with people that believe that too, that aren't here to try to go, hey, follow me and I've got all the answers, which is BS, right? So we talked with meditation. I mean, I've done a few meditation retreats. You've done a billions, gazillion. I've only done a couple. But, one of them that I went to, we meditated like 10, 12 hours a day, every day, and it was a silent retreat. It was actually great because I really love being in silence. But at the end of the retreat, the guru, who of course was a guy, which I find, right, and who has a wife who does all the cooking and caring for the children and everything else, right? This guru sat there and said, you have to go an hour in the morning, an hour at night. And I sat there and I thought, how, as a single parent, at that time my kids were really young, how is this and I thought, you know what, he's a man, and that's why he's saying that, because he doesn't have an idea of what it's like in my life. He has no concept that I can't possibly do that. So I just modified it. And of course they said to sit on the little, what's it called, those chair, the little sort of the
Yeah,
Z,
the meditation
yeah,
cushion.
the cushion, and with your back straight and your fingers, this, and you have, and I just canned the whole thing. And I remember thinking, you know what, because I'm not a follower, I don't care what you just said. I'm going to sit in my cozy chair and I'm going to have my cup of tea and I'm going to curl up with my dogs and I'm going to shut my eyes and I'm going to sometimes listen to music. And I kind of started doing my own thing. And then the further along I got, I realized this is actually the best way to do it, is just to really follow kind of your intuition with this stuff, because it's about stillness and what does that look like to you. So anyway, that's what the anti-guru thing just totally.
Yeah, and the whole like meditation cushion and the particular candle and
Yeah.
that place is crazy. Okay, so I've been doing this. I've been meditating like hardcore. You could consider me probably a hardcore meditator. If you really mapped out my hours, I'm sure I do over 10,000 hours a year. Blah 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 for 15 years. I don't own a cushion. It doesn't matter. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's dependent on a cushion and how your back is, well, what are you meditating about?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Like I teach meditation classes in, employee like break rooms, in conferences, at, boardrooms. So if we're stuck with it has to be in a cushion, and it has to be with the malabine, and it has to have incense, all those people wouldn't have access to it. And that's just BS, quite honestly. So that's one tradition, and that he's teaching his tradition, and that works for him in his lifestyle. Great, beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that what happens in India and in Bali and all of that, there's 1,000 traditions. 1,000 is probably too much, but there's definitely 100, hundreds, and it has to do again with what's real in your life and why are you. It's a practice.
Yeah.
Why are you practicing?
Right.
For some people, they exercise because they want to feel well mentally, and some people exercise because they want the six pack. So it determines what kind of workout you do.
Yeah.
Same thing with meditation. Do you want peace of mind? Trust me, the cushion that you're sitting doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So it drives me crazy because that's mostly what's out there, and then it makes people feel like that's not for me. I can't do it. And I'm here to say, the mom with 3 kids who has a full-time job and is taking care of her elderly parents and has a husband who travels or not, and like that woman who is oversaturated, this is available to her, and it can happen while you drive, believe it or not, with your eyes open. I have a meditation that I guide while people drive.
That's awesome.
It can happen in your commute. It can happen in the 4 minutes that you have to yourself. There are ways to introduce decompression and connection time. That's essentially what it is. It's time for you to connect to whatever it is that you want to connect to.
And, I love this because I think women hit, 40s, 50s, that whole age range, and they're just exhausted. I mean, just completely washed out. And I see a naturopath doctor, and she said women come to her and they are just decimated by everything you just said. They're just doing all these things. And so she's trying to get them to eat vitamins and get off caffeine and do all these things, which are also very helpful too, right? Everything's helpful. But I think this is also a part of that. And I think as women, taking back our life and taking back the responsibility for what's going to help me and serve me, and how can I communicate that to the people around me. I guess I keep bringing up the people around me because I have all these people around me, of this is what I need in order to give to you, and really looking at it that way, not looking like I'm being self-centered or this is a waste of time, like you said. So
this is a great topic, and I'm glad you're bringing this up because, in airplanes, if the airplane's going to go down, you've heard this a million times, please put the oxygen mask on yourself first.
Right.
Then help your child. And then there's, this is like pop psychology. It's going around everywhere on Pinterest and Facebook. You can't lead from an empty cup. Well, you can't parent from an empty cup, even though everybody's trying, and you can't quite, everybody's trying because it's such a habit of the women to put themselves last. I have clients who tell me, Grace, if I'm honest, I come home from a long day of work and I make sure the dog gets fed and I water the plants before I sit down and I have a cup of tea.
Yeah.
And I want to scream.
Yeah.
Like, who cares about the plant? But it's a very old conditioning, like I'm like, let the plant die. Like, take your shoes off, put your feet up. But you know what? It's a very old conditioning of being caregivers, caretakers. Even if you don't have kids, you're still a caretaker. I know that myself. And we've been conditioned to please and give above all else.
Yeah.
And so, meditation is one of the small ways that we can rewire this place of coming from exhaustion and coming from complete depletion and still trying to push through.
Right.
And if you want to look at it from a biological stand, every day is like stress is like this. It's an excited state, which is not the great excitement that we actually want, but it's an excited state that you wake up and you're like, what did I forget? What's happening today? It's 7:15. It's an excited state. And meditation is one of the most effective ways to decompress that excitement without any pills and any, and I've worked with women who come into breathing room and they are clinically depressed, clinically under anxiety meds, all sorts of things. People having silent panic attacks, meaning that they don't tell anyone, but they're actually having panic attacks. And only with the action of taking 10 minutes a day to do some variation of decompression. Sometimes it looks like meditation, sometimes it doesn't, but 10 minutes a day, like 5 times a week. 2 months later, they're not on sleeping meds, they're not on antidepressant meds, they're not having panic attacks, they're thriving. So I am here to really say it does not take twice a day, la 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 la, all of that, at least for the health perspective.
Yeah.
And it really, and these women are still just as busy, but they feel in control of their life.
Yeah.
They feel I'm the one at the reins. I'm the one at the wheel instead of like life just tumbling over me every day.
Right.
And that's the change. You know, you can have some space in which you get to have choice.
Yeah. I
And
think,
isn't that what we're all kind of craving?
oh, I think so too. And I think for me, the space, taking that space out helps me to just helps discernment so much for me. Like, wait a minute, that actually doesn't feel like I need to do that, or that doesn't feel good. What feels good? And generally, what feels like what I should do, like in whatever decisions I'm making, is actually a harder choice. Like, okay, I know I've got to do 50 things, but I need to turn down like half of them because it doesn't feel good. But I don't get in touch with that until I sit and I disconnect.
True.
Because then I don't have the I should, because I'm heavily programmed, right, into give, 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 give. And that really helps me to separate from all that stuff.
Yeah, boundaries is a huge topic for managing overwhelm, right? And
Right,
managing feeling like I can never seem to catch up.
right.
Mostly that's usually a challenge with boundaries. They're usually none. Or
Yeah,
if they are, they might exist, but then we are the first to break them. We
yeah,
go, no, I don't do that. Then I break it, or I just don't communicate them. And there's so much guilt, in the whole boundary setting. And for me, this is about if you're more connected to yourself, which you get there if you have pause and have some version of meditation going on in your life, you're more connected to really what your priorities are, essentially, right? If you're raising children, you're focused on your career, or you're on your health, or you're more connected to, okay, I'm trying to do 5, 6 things, not 122 things. Because if you
right.
are trying to do 122 things, you need to call me,
Yeah.
because you're gonna be in the hospital.
You're gonna get a lot of
You
phone
just
calls after this, right?
just find me online and call me. You need to talk to me. But if you're more connected to yourself, you kind of go, you have more of a radar, like you said, to go, you know what? I I'm not sure I should do that, or I don't want to do that, or that doesn't feel good to me. And often women who come into breathing room, they also start to learn to go, that's actually not mine to do.
Yeah,
Good. I'm taking it over for someone else. I'm overdoing, I'm overgiving, I'm taking responsibility that's actually not mine. And
yeah,
it becomes very freeing when they go, huh, thank you, but no, I'm
yeah,
gonna pass.
yeah. And
And
it's
that
so
is really
powerful.
empowering.
Yeah,
hmm
that's
And
so
it gives you your energy back. You gain all of a sudden. They go through the process and they go, all of a sudden I have all this time again. And I'm like, and what changed? And they said, I don't take on all this stuff.
yeah,
Or the typical, like, you get invited to things, so you feel guilty, so you say yes, you don't want to go. All the emotional roller coaster of that, and the stress and the guilt, and that's super taxing energetically. So for people who feel exhausted, the first thing I say is, on Mondays, look at your week and look at what's happening. And are there things in there that you've said yes to, but you really mean to say no? And how can you start to go and practice in small bites? There's a lot of programming against us doing this and just being okay with it. But start to say, hey, listen, I overcommitted myself. I actually can't make it on Thursday. Thank you so much for thinking of me. I appreciate the invitation. I just can't make it. And just learn to like start practicing in smaller ways, maybe in small commitments, saying, thank you for thinking of me. I'm going to pass this time,
right,
this time. So it's kind of, you say yes to the person, but no to the invitation.
right.
And so the relationship doesn't feel, hopefully, very challenged. If it does, then that's a relationship you probably want to look at.
Yeah.
But you can say thank you so much, like really I appreciate the invitation, I'm overcommitted, things like that. So there's a lot of boundaries related, work related to managing your stress and your exhaustion, because for most women it's because we're doing way too much, and often the list of to-dos isn't even ours.
Yeah.
Like, we took on things that we're like, wait, why do I do that on Saturdays?
Yeah. Yeah.
you know
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So let's go with the last, like, 5 to 10 minutes here and talk about some specifics, like maybe some meditation specifics about, like, you've got a first time woman who's come to the breathing room, and they, um, what would you teach somebody, or what would you have them do?
that's a good question. So there's two things I would definitely almost invite anyone to do. I mean, if you're in North America or Western world and you work and you're type A, this is what we're talking about. There's likely a sense of your mind is too full, so you're kind of frantic. This feeling of you'd like to be more attentive and you'd like to really look at your child when they're talking to you or whoever, but you're
Which
all
child?
over the place,
Yeah.
right? Right? Or
Yeah.
you even remember the last time you sat down to eat and actually were like, oh well, like I like my food and remember how it tasted. That is kind of unheard of in this side of the world.
Right.
So I would say there's two things. One is a super simple technique and an exercise that I call a mental detox, but it's literally like throwing your excess thoughts in the trash. So spend like 5 minutes once a day or a few times a week where you're not interrupted, where you're not taking in TV or music or anything else, and just put a timer on your phone, put your phone down and grab a piece of paper and write down everything you're thinking about. So on one page, just, oh, it's snowing again and I don't like it and my throat hurts and I'm mixed up. Just like let it pour on one piece of paper. And then the other piece of paper, keep a more of a to-do list. Because as you start writing things down, you're going to think, oh yeah, buy milk. Oh yeah, respond to that email. Oh yeah, right, you're going to have more things that feel valid that you want to remember. So I do this exercise, and see, some people would probably not think this is meditation, but it is. It's a form of clearing your mind very quickly. And 5 minutes a day works. And when you're done, you grab that piece of paper that you've filled with just all the noise in your head. It's kind of like we have like a radio operator, like blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
all day long.
Yeah.
Grab a piece of paper and just tear it apart. Just rip it to shreds and throw it away. And then you'll have one piece of paper that feels more like, oh yeah, these are things I have to remember. So either put them on my calendar or add them to my to-do list, but clear the excess noise. And it takes, honestly, 5 minutes. Some people can write for 20, no problem, depending on what's going on in your life. But if you do this at the end of the day, and in fact, I have a gift that they can have. It's a link where I guide them through it.
Oh, wonderful.
Um, but if you do this several times a week, you'll start to sleep better. You'll start to feel like you rest through the night instead of get woken up in anxiety, because the mind is too full. We process way too much information. And think about it. Your phone gets charged at night, your computer gets charged, your car gets gas, but this thing, which is like our operating machine, doesn't, right now, we're not doing much for it.
Right.
So we need to give it like battery, and rechargeable. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, I would definitely invite everyone to start to incorporate 3 to 5 minutes a day. That's it, 3 to 5 minutes a day, some version of a guided meditation. Just a moment in your day where you don't have to think it through. And there's a million to choose from. You can go to my website, there's a ton, or you can go online and YouTube, there's like probably a billion there. And just find someone that you like their voice, you like the way they guide, because it's really about that. It's the person's energy. Close your eyes and go somewhere else for 3 to 5 minutes a day. I see, I'm not saying 10 to 15 and sitting upright. And I'm saying wherever you can find it, if you have that time in the car before you pick up your kids and you're like, okay, I'm here, I'm early, take it.
Yeah.
Because you're programming your nervous system to say, you can wind down now.
Yeah.
You can wind down now. And hopefully, if all you have is 3 to 5 minutes a day, try to find a practice that involves some deep breathing and some just like not like hardcore visualization. It's very difficult to get into something like that so quickly, but definitely something that involves breathing techniques and something that involves just anchoring into your body. Because all day we're here,
Right.
and actually all the wisdom and the clarity and the answers for what you need to do next or how to solve what's happening in your life is true that it's inside, but most of the people are trying to figure it out here,
Right.
and the
Right.
answers lie deeper.
Right.
Our intuition and our compass of this is right, this is wrong, this is dangerous, I don't think so, this feels good, this, it's actually not up here.
Right.
For women, it's in their power center, and you have to come back to your body. And if you're running around all day, we're not in the body. I mean,
Right.
I myself, I have like a reminder that pops up on my phone 3 times a day that says, slow down, take 3 deep breaths, and lean back.
Oh,
I do.
that's
And I
wonderful.
teach this, right? But I'm doing work all day and I'm running around and I'm having meetings. So 3 times a day, this thing pops up on my phone and it simply says, slow down, take a deep breath, and lean back.
That's
And then I remind it. Because those are 3 triggers for me. Okay. I'd never take one deep breath. I take one and then I go, oh, right. And then I take a couple. And then in that, then it's a very mindful minute. And then I go, okay, roll down your shoulders. Okay. And then I go, right, what's happening? Where am I? How am I feeling? Okay. And that's it. It could be that simple.
yeah. I love that. That's so beautiful because those are very doable things too. And the clearing technique and the sitting and breathing and the 3 to 5 minutes. I think those are all really super practical. And I love that. I love taking, I think spirituality is very practical. I don't think it's something that's off the, off. And meditation for me falls under that. It's super practical and it has to work for your life and for your situation, and it can't be so out of body. And I feel that way about anything to do with that we do as women. Needs to be practical, needs to serve our needs. Um so I love that. So we're almost out of time. So is there anything you want to leave with people? Like, is there any sort of anything else you want to add that I didn't ask?
I think that my message to women in general, at least in this phase of my work and my life, is it's not just okay to take time for yourself. It's a need. It's a must have. Like you'll look back and go, the changes that I was craving, the clarity I wanted, that space that you want where you feel fulfilled and good, it really genuinely only comes when you have that space inside yourself.
Yeah.
I know it for myself, and I've seen it for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women that I've helped. They literally say, nothing's changed in my life and I'm feeling fantastic.
Yeah.
People stop me on the street. They go, what are you on? And I lost weight. And this, and the thing that's changed is inside.
Yeah.
And it really takes, you can start with 3 minutes a day. So
Yeah.
highly, highly recommend just consider what's the next step for you and then commit to that step for like 3 weeks. Okay, 3 weeks, 5 times a week, I'm gonna, whatever it is. And it's possible, it's doable. When people think, I don't even know where to begin by breathing and just decide, okay, what's my focus today?
Yeah.
Take 3 deep breaths and just establish your focus, because the world will throw so much at you every day, but where are you first?
Right.
Well, that's
That's
my
beautiful.
super
That's
simple.
beautiful. I love that, Grace. I love everything you've shared. I love this. You have this lovely aura about you. Sorry to get all like a bit woo woo here, but you do. I mean, you just, and obviously you're doing something that's working for you. And I think that's what I love. And, I feel the same way for me because I'm not a naturally grounded person. I have to work at it. It's not, I tend to be very like live in overwhelm is kind of my phrase. And so I have to constantly bring it back down. And I find I'm much more creative when I meditate and when I do these things. So So thank you so much for your insights. I do encourage like everybody in the audience, please go to her website. I'll put a link at the bottom on the channel and in my on my blog, and visit the breathing room. And if you are interested in meditation, I highly recommend what Grace is doing. I know her personally, she's fabulous, obviously. So so thank you so much, Grace, for being here and for sharing. We'll have to do it again because I think this is such a valuable subject. It's one of my very favorite subjects, and I have loads to learn from it. So you know, I'm always open to hearing more insights when you talk.
I will send you the recording of the what to do to decompress with
Oh,
the
that's great.
I'll send that to you.
Yeah, I love
Thank
that.
you for inviting me.
Okay,
Thank you
you're
for
welcome.
inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here and talk to you.
Okay, thanks, Grace. Bye.
Bye.